The year is 1044 AD. With Yaroslav the Wise on the throne in Kiev, the loose confederation called the Kievan Rus is a strong, powerful force in Eastern Europe. While not as centralized as regions today, such as Ukraine or Russia, this network of principalities stretched from the White Sea in the north to the Black Sea in the south. To put this into perspective, the East Slavic lands were so vast that if you took a trip from the southern coast of the US all the way up to Toronto, Canada, this is roughly how long the Kievan Rus was. This great confederation of states, however, would not last. After Yaroslav the Wise died in 1054, the confederation slowly began to crumble. Through a succession system called the Rota system, later used by the early Duchy of Moscow rulers as well. Fighting for succession was a regular occurrence, a bloody one at that. By 1240, the Kievan Rus was gone, having been conquered by the Mongolian hordes and to be ruled by them for centuries to come. Today's adventure is on a different, though interesting subject. Hidden in the eastern Carpathians, there lies an area known as Carpathian-Ruthenia. Due to the high mountain chain that encompasses over 80% of Carpathian-Ruthenia, it was more isolated than its neighbors. The region contains luscious forests, high mountain peaks, and lowlands in the southwestern part of the region, which contain most of the cities. Though many other ethnic groups have called this place home, such as Germans, Jews, Armenians, Greeks, Hungarians, it is the ancestral homeland of the carpatho-rusyns. By the 7th and 8th centuries AD, the land now known as Carpathian-Ruthenia was densely inhabited by a tribe known as the White Croats. The White Croats were closest to the Slavic tribes of Ciscarpathia, otherwise known as Galicia, Transnistria, and Volhynia, but were a distinct group from them. A group of these people migrated to the Balkan coast and eventually formed what is now the area of the Republic of Croatia. Those that stayed behind are most likely predecessors to what we know as Rusyns today. The story of Carpathian-Ruthenia is a complicated one, much like other regions in the area. With the migration of the Magyars to the Pannonian Basin in 896, there were many fights between the Slavs and the Magyars, but eventually some of the territory was incorporated into the Hungarian Empire. Like much of its history, though, even the regions that were incorporated, it was still a borderland. During the 10th and 11th century, it was an area between the Kievan Rus Principality of Volhynia and Hungary, a point of contention for a long time between the two kingdoms. The area of Carpathian-Ruthenia was not always under Hungarian control, though. For a period of about 50 years, parts of western Carpathian Rus were under the control of the Kingdom of Galicia-Volhynia in the 13th and early 14th century. If we fast forward to the medieval era, over the centuries it was part of the Principality of Transylvania, Ottoman occupation, Habsburg rule, as well as the Hungarians. Though never having their own independent country, many observers in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, as well as the Austro-Hungarian Empire, recognized a difference between the lands of the Carpatho-Rusyns and those further east in Kiev and even Muscovy. A common, unmentioned influence on Carpathian-Ruthenia is the influence of Wallachs or vlachs, another name for the Romance-speaking shepherds from further southeast in the Balkans, had a great effect on Transcarpathia. Between 1100 AD and 1400 AD, many Vlachs migrated into the area and assimilated with the local Slavic population, and more trickled in with the following centuries. These people had an undeniable effect on the population, in forms of loanwords, customs, and DNA. This in turn gave the Carpatho-Rusyn population a distinctive look from their neighbors, such as Slovaks, Poles, and Ruthenians north of the Carpathians. Though many other groups migrated to the area as well, giving the area a very unique cultural mix. These groups included such as Ashkenazi Jews, Germans, Greeks, Cumans in the 11th century following the fall of Kiev to the Mongols, Hungarians, and Armenians. This made Carpatho-Ruthenia one of the most diverse places in the empire. The modern area of Carpatho-Ruthenia can be divided by 4 modern countries: Podkarpacki province in southeastern Poland, Prešov region in eastern Slovakia, Carpatho-Ukraine in Ukraine, as well as some small northern regions in northern Romania. There is also a sizable amount of Rusyns in northern Serbia, eastern Croatia, and northeastern Hungary, though these areas are not historically Rusyn homeland. The region can now be also divided by the various Rusyn groups that exist. The group known as the Lemkos cover most of the Poland and eastern Slovakia parts, while the boykos and Dolinians cover much of the Ukrainian areas and some towns in Hungary and Poland. The Hutzels cover an area split by Ukraine and Romania and are the furthest group to the east. Cultural repression by the Kingdom of Hungary in the mid-19th century led to the mass migration out of the region to the United States and other areas like it. After the fall of communism, the number of people identifying as Rusyn has increased nearly every census in the places they are found. Rusyns are not allowed to put their ethnic group down in Ukraine, so results are unknown, but there are many grassroots movements and a cultural awakening in the region as well. In the latest censuses, around 90,000 people have declared Rusyn as their national identity, though the estimated number of people with Rusyn ancestry is between 500,000 and 1.6 million. In 1991, the number of Rusyns in Slovakia was listed at 17,197. 20 years later, in 2011, that number grew to 33,482. Likewise, in Poland in 2002, the number of Lemkos was stated at 5,863. But in 2011, this number had moved to roughly 10,000. Though it's thought that around 150,000 people have some type of Carpatho-Rusyn ancestry in Poland. Another 3,890 in Romania identified themselves as Hutzels. Only time will tell the fate of the Carpatho-Rusyns, but for right now, it seems like it's on the upswing. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe, and more content will be on the way.